Have you ever experienced someone else's art and it was so moving that you immediately decided to throw away all of your craft tools, take up work as a truck driver? No? Just me? Good morning. Welcome to my writing life. Today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. So let's get to it. This weekend, I read a couple of books, the Saviors series by Jenna Maressi. Now, I don't know if you've heard about them or not. They're amazing, and I'll do a book review on them in a few weeks. Suffice it to say, these books are amazing and very engaging, and they're in the genre that I write. I went through what I call the 5 stages of an author reading someone else's work. Damn, this is excellent. Damn, this author's career is excellent. Oh my god, I need to never write again. Oh hey, she misspelled that. F my failures, F my progress, F my ego. I'll do it myself. Imposter syndrome is that fear of being discovered as a fraud, assuming that all of your accomplishments are a result of luck, circumstance, or a one-time thing where you were awesome for a minute, but you'll never be that awesome again. You're afraid of someone unmasking you and revealing that you really are a big stupid idiot and you can't actually do this thing that you managed to do that one time. It's this inability to claim your victories and accomplishments as your own, to claim them as victories. This is all despite external evidence to the contrary. There's proof, there's cool things that you have done internally, like refusing to accept it, and you just constantly feel like you're an imposter. In my experience with imposter syndrome, one of the worst parts about it is it's super demotivating. You lose the passion and the desire to try new things or to keep moving forward. You're constantly not allowing yourself to claim that you have succeeded. So eventually you just want to give up. That is the point that I reached this weekend. I compared my life to someone who has a huge established career and platform. It doesn't make sense to compare. It never really does. That momentary, demotivating, I should give up writing entirely, that is all a result of the imposter syndrome. One of the other things that I hate about it is that it can complicate mental health issues. I see this common trend, and I've seen it in my friends' stories, film. It's just a very popular, stupid idea, and that is that someone else needs the help more than me. Yeah, I have some anxiety, but I don't have PTSD, so someone else should go to therapy. I have this really hurtful, damaging family dynamic with my relatives. But you know what? It's not like familial abuse, so it's that idea that other people deserve the help more than me. And that comes from thinking I'm just a fraud when it comes to someone who has anxiety. Thinking you're not worthy of help, that's kind of where it ties in. Now, this is an example that makes it very clear for you to see how it sucks, because pain is pain, and we all need support and assistance, period. Not to mention, as with all matters in health, prevention is way million times easier to treat than a major crisis. If you're getting help with your anxiety disorder, it's more likely that you're going to be equipped to handle it if things turn into a crisis. That is ultimately less taxing to the healthcare system. Get help now. And by the way, even though you don't need my permission, but if you're waiting for it, I'm that person that has gone through fucking shit. PTSD, I have bipolar disorder, I have had adjustment disorder with anxiety, I went through a ton of crap. You need someone like that to give you permission to go get help? Hi, I would love for you to go get help. Now let's talk for a minute about what to do with yourself. Number 1, reflect on your concrete achievements. In your life, you have succeeded at something. In my case, I went through 5 years of therapy. I've got my diagnosis adjusted from PTSD down to adjustment disorder with anxiety, and I beat that and adjusted it down to bipolar 2. And I've gotten that to a point where it's relatively maintained, and it's part of my regular rhythm to just take care of that. PTSD is no longer on my medical chart. The same is true with adjustment disorder with anxiety, except in my history, not in my present conditions. That is my proudest accomplishment, and that's a concrete achievement that I can look at and go, okay, I might not have done this thing or that thing, but you know what? I invested a lot in my mental health, and had I not done that, I would not be here today. So look around. That will clarify to you, hey, you're not a complete fraud. No, I managed to get up every morning and take care of my children. Hey, I managed to have this job and land this job despite what my father says about me. Or whatever it is that makes you feel like you're fake, maybe write it down and place it around you where you can see it and where you can reflect on it regularly. Number 2, talk to your cheerleaders. There are people in your life who root for you. There are people in your life who don't. When I have imposter syndrome, it's a pretty short list, but I have a handful of people that I call, and I call them this weekend. That, hey, I'm pretty sure that I need to give up writing. And my cheerleaders that I call, they encourage me, like, okay, as awesome as it is to be a truck driver, it's not your calling. And here's why. Here's what you've done in the past, calling back to concrete evidence. Just a reminder of who you are. Have someone who knows what they're talking about, knows you, loves you, and is willing to shut down that doubt. That's invaluable. Number 3, expect mistakes. If you're going to be taking on a new endeavor, you're gonna suck. Hate to be the one to break it to you. Sorry. Also, not sorry, it's part of life. Think about it. When you were a kid in kindergarten and you were learning how to color, that picture of mom had like 8 arms. That's not the one hanging in the gallery wall. You get good at things over time. You aren't good at things immediately. You're going to screw up. And if you don't have as part of your acceptable paradigm of progress, it's gonna be a rough road. Like I said in a video a few weeks back, you might catch me in some pretty ugly writing in the next few years. That's because I'm not good at this yet, because I'm still relatively new. I'm going to get better. When I'm planning on marketing my first book, part of my marketing plan is to include my worst book and have worst crossed out and say first. Your first thing that you create is going to be the worst version of something. That's how progress works. The goal is to make something that makes your previous thing look worse. So expect mistakes. Number 4, seek a mentor. There are people out there who know what you're doing, know what they're doing, and have been in your field longer than you. Take the shortcut. I am really willing to seek the advice and wisdom of people who have gone before me, no matter how old they are. That's the thing that's kind of humbling sometimes, is I have to sit here and accept the advice of a person who's like 5 or 6 years younger than me, but they're way further into their career than I am. This is something I want to just take a second to mention. Because I had to spend so much time addressing my mental health before I could dive fully into a career, and I realized, okay, cope, I'm like 35, that's not very old, but I also feel frustrated with all of the time I feel like I lost in my career. I was really not functional my entire life, and it's only recently that I have become someone who can work multiple days in a row on the same project, follow through on something, and keep a schedule. Often find myself having to approach with humility mentors who are younger than me, and sometimes that really just kind of itches. Number 5, stop comparing yourself. Now, that argument that I made a few minutes ago about I don't have as much anxiety as someone else, therefore blah blah blah, that argument could never even exist if we didn't compare our pain to someone else's. That moment this weekend wanted to give up in my career, that never would have happened if I had never compared myself to this author's work in the first place. Comparing yourself never really works out in a beneficial way because it creates a hierarchy when there's not one. There's only 2 outcomes. Either you're awesome and they suck, or you suck and they're awesome. Either way, it only invites damage to your relationships and damage to your motivation. If they're awesome and you suck, you want to give up. If you're awesome and they suck, now you've got an ego problem where you're no longer willing to learn from this person. Heaven forbid you're in relationship with this person. You're kind of a condescending ass that's going to damage the friendship. Don't compare yourself to other people. Keep your eyes on your work, who you want to become, and why. Number 6, the perfection is a lie. Perfectionism is such a problem because there's no such thing. Perfect book, the perfect dinner, perfect relationship, perfect cake, or a perfect dress. It all comes down to taste. There are people who don't like Stephen King. A lot of people think that his works are the best thing ever. You know what? They're not perfect. There is no such thing that is so perfect that absolutely everyone in the whole world is so excited about it. This person really likes to read this type of thing. This mosaic is beautiful because it has this arrangement of colors. This mosaic is beautiful because it's made out of glass. And so it provides opportunity to make a stained glass window. And I don't know about mosaics, so maybe I got that wrong. Sorry. The point is, there's no such thing, so stop it. Aim for what satisfies you. And also, we'll get more into this later, know your audience. Deepen your understanding of your rhetorical circumstances. That way you can tailor your effort in a particular direction. But even then, you're never going to flawlessly understand your audience. Even if you did, you're human, you're going to fail. Cultivate your ability to be satisfied and say enough over something. Number 7, learn to take a freaking compliment. I don't know why this concept of false humility is so pervasive. When people say, oh my gosh, you did such a good job on that, the default response is, oh no, that's so silly. Oh no, get out of here, it was a piece of cake. No, the polite response is, thank you, I really enjoyed working on it. Thank you, it turned out better than I was expecting. Thank you, I'm not totally satisfied with it, but I'm glad that it made you happy. You made something, and that has brought joy to a person to the point that they've actually wanted to vocalize that. Also, if someone gives you a compliment and you just deny it, like, oh no, that's, get out of here, you're just being sweet. Did you just call me a liar? Screw you. Why is this polite? Why is this okay? To say that admit someone's wrong for liking a thing. If you never are willing to take a compliment from someone, first of all, it damages the relationship. It also undermines your own concept of your capacity. Accept the external evidence, take the compliment, internalize it. That's one of the greatest ways to battle imposters. A few years ago, I got a piece of wisdom from one of my writing sources. Keep a collection of those encouragements. You know, those little things. Gosh, you're such a great writer. Man, I love the way you worded that. I totally see you succeed at this. Gosh, I love what you're doing. It means so much to me and it motivates me to keep going. A few years ago, I wrote a blog and I shared some of my personal story, and someone replied, "This is one of the most powerful things I have ever read. I'm gonna share this with a person who's going through a similar problem." I quit. Like, I don't need to write anymore. That is all I needed. I could die tomorrow and my writing career would have been a success. And I say that because I have been able to internalize that by keeping it on record. I forget the nice things. Keep the compliments on a Word document folder on your desktop. Keep them on a notepad on your phone, wherever you will see it. Number 8, you're not alone in this. Imposter syndrome is actually incredibly common. This happens in 6th grade. It happens if you're a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Whoever your person is that you really, really look up to, look it up. There's somewhere in their media, there's an interview somewhere, a comment, a story, a blog post. It's somewhere that this person feels like a fraud. It just is. It doesn't make it any less BS. That kind of invalidates the potency of it. Sorry, you're not a snowflake when it comes to feeling like an imposter. Number 9, teach. Seek out an opportunity to teach. You will be shocked by how much you know and how useful the things are that are in your head. If you take the opportunity to teach, number 1, it's awesome because you're helping other people out, and like, that's the goal. But number 2, you get this mirror that you can't deny what you actually know, how competent you actually are. If you are looking for external evidence of your accomplishments, teaching is a fantastic opportunity to create that evidence. 10, get comfortable with failure. For some reason, we have this concept that failure is a devastating thing. It's the end of the road. Failure is part of the process. It's a stepping stone, just like any other part of the process. You outline, you write, you fail, and then you do it again until you fail small enough that the rest of it is worth it. That's why we avoid perfection, right? Because like 80% is awesome, and then you got that 20% of failure, or 90 or whatever, move on. It's good enough. Failing is a great opportunity to take a look at what you tried to do, where it went off the rails, and then try again, knowing that you are more educated now. Also, failure is an opportunity to clarify what your principles, values, and actual goals are. In 2010, I almost flunked out of university. But the best thing that came as a result of that was me asking questions of, why am I at Oregon State getting a degree in English? Do I really want this? What about this do I actually want? That makes you address what really matters, and it kind of sifts all the other garbage away. Failing is awesome. It's going to be a lot easier for you to fight that imposter syndrome if you are going to get comfortable with failure, because imposter syndrome says, see that failure? That's all you are. Failure is part of what everyone goes through. Everyone fails. 11, praise effort over achievement. In 2017, I put down 700 hours of writing time. That's an average of 2 hours a day since I don't work on Saturdays. Hey, in 2020, I practiced writing for an average of 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. You don't necessarily need to measure only by the victories and the finish lines. You need to be willing to celebrate lacing your shoes before you get to the racetrack. You need to celebrate each milepost, each step. Sometimes, particularly at the end of the marathon, you're like, I am still stepping. I took another step. I took another step. I've got one more breath in me. And the effort is what you need to praise. Sometimes that is what carries you to the finish line. There is nothing more devastating to me than seeing a writer who is heartbroken at the lack of their ability to produce and publish a book, and they hate the whole journey, and they're just so filled with anxiety about not making the grade that they never just stop and enjoy the writing. Writing is awesome. Creating is awesome. Being alive is awesome. If you don't take the time to just stop and appreciate all of the efforts that go into your day and praise the effort, it becomes very demotivating when all you ever do is praise achievement and accomplishment. Not to mention that sets up a really bad status quo, thinking that people are only relevant, only matter, or only worthwhile because of what they've accomplished. What does that say about what it means to be human. That sucks. There are people that are not going to ever achieve the kind of things that you already take for granted. That does not make them less human. They're still beautiful, worthwhile human beings, regardless of what they've accomplished. The point being, accomplishment is not the end-all be-all. Number 12, imposter syndrome ain't that bad. Yes, it hurts like heck to feel like a fraud. At any moment, someone's gonna unmask you. But the truth is, it's a feeling, it's not reality. Something that I've learned in the last several years, feelings are actually functional. They have a purpose. Shame makes you question what you're doing, and it makes you decide if you want to continue. Heartbreak makes you lean into yourself, protect yourself in a circumstance that might legitimately be damaging. Feelings prompt you to think and reflect on who you are and what you're doing in life. Imposter syndrome is no different. If you feel like an imposter, that is a prompt to think critically. Reflecting on where you've come and where you're going is essential if you want to keep moving forward in a direction with intention. Imposter syndrome sucks, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You can use it to your advantage. This is an opportunity to check yourself. Look at your accomplishments. Look at the things that you have not accomplished yet that you want to. There's this big neon light in my brain that says, you still have not published. Okay, and that's true. I've written a book. It's not going to be published, but I have written it, and it's complete. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you are struggling with some of these feelings, let's talk about it. Leave a message in the comments, shoot me an email. I would love to get in touch and connect with you about these important issues in your creative process. If you like what I'm doing here, I would love it if you would support my channel with a like, subscribe, or a share, ring the bell, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Imposter syndrome sucks. So imposter syndrome. Can you stop walking around? If you suck, if you're awesome, and if you're awesome, dang it, I keep flailing, blah, 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 blah. Okay.